Robert, I'm very happy to see you again.
Very nice, Arne. Always a pleasure to be here with you on the Underdog Show.
Absolutely, it is time for some underdog. I'm always excited what you have found in this episode. So yeah, curious what happened. Who is the underdog who surprised a good player this time?
Yeah, well, it was actually very interesting because I always search on high rating gaps.
Hmm.
That's always what I like to do. And now I came across I think it was actually a rapid game, but still, that doesn't
I think
make
it
any
counts.
difference for the story. I think it's a game played in Bucharest, Romania,
Hmm.
with black pieces having a grandmaster, very experienced grandmaster Iordachescu, rated close to 2600. And he played in the first round of this event against a player named Alexandru Nicolai Grigoras,
Hmm.
who is more than 1,000 rating points lower rated. Let's see what happens.
This sounds criminal. Let's.
Yeah,
Holy what? So
yeah,
like,
yeah. It's something you don't hear that often, and
no, that
especially in
is
these first
insane.
round games, it's always yeah. Normally, the stronger players kind of relax, try to avoid any opening traps, and try to
Sure.
get a top game. We will see what happens today. Well,
Okay, I can't wait. Yeah.
it starts actually very in a very calm manner. I will guide you through the first
Okay.
10 moves, and we have a sort of London type of setup. It
Okay.
could be reached by different move orders. So let's not spend too much time on that. I think it's kind of pretty standard
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
beginning. So it's a quiet game. I think both sides are happy. White survived the opening against a grandmaster, and black also didn't fall into any trap.
Okay.
And well, it's interesting to see how the game is going to evolve. So
Hmm.
white played rook c1, placing the rook on a file which is still closed. Looks a bit odd at first. In fact, normally white is also trying to expand on the queen side, trying to push the pawns there
Hmm.
and try to open a file at some point. Okay, didn't happen. Rook c1, rook d8, queen b3, rook c8, and now a4 was played. So you see the reason I wanted to keep my rook here was actually to push the pawn later.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. True.
But now black decides to take on d4. That's an interesting decision because white is unable to maintain the symmetry. Because if you do recapture with the c pawn, black is able to give up the queen and get two rooks for it, which is just great news, of course.
Yeah.
So instead, white recaptures with the e pawn, which is actually also quite a thematical way of recapturing. But having an imbalance in pawn structure, asymmetrical pawn structure, is kind of a good thing for the side trying to play for a win. So we are still in this maneuvering phase. Black goes a6, and white goes back with the queen to d1. Kind of a strange move, perhaps, but you're not giving away anything, so it's not that bad.
Hmm.
And black brings the knight to the king side, to g6. White goes bishop d3, and now the knight comes into d5. So you can see that these two knights, they are looking for a way to come to the f4 square.
Hmm.
And now, interesting moment, because objectively speaking, what white should probably do is change the structure, and that's a very difficult thing in chess. You're familiar with a specific pawn structure from an opening. But here, I think white is supposed to push the pawn. And if the knight comes in, you just drop back with the bishop. So the bishops are guarding your king. And white is trying to expand on the queen side. Then we will have four pawns on the fourth rank. And okay, you grab some space. But if you're familiar with the London type of structure, then it's very understandable that you just try to maintain and try to keep everything covered.
Uh-huh.
So white plays differently, but this kind of waiting approach can also backfire. White played knight f1, queen d7, bishop c2, overprotecting the pawn on a4.
Hmm.
And now black starts pushing on the queen side. And of course, that would have been kind of impossible to execute if white would have advanced its own pawns on that side of the board. A takes b5, a takes b5, and the bishop comes into to b3.
Mm-hmm.
And black decides to go knight b6. So he has an idea to get a knight over to c4. Very interesting plan. And
but so far it looks quite equal at the moment still, right?
It looks quite equal. I think black is a bit more comfortable thanks to the expansion on the queen side. And potentially these pawns, they can become vulnerable if black is able to exert more pressure there.
So a quick question just in between. If you are a 2,500 player, you play against a 1,500 player, and it's which move is it? 12, 13?
No, the 21 already. Yeah,
Oops,
yeah.
wow. Sorry.
Yeah. Time flies.
Yeah, it does indeed. So yeah, it's for move 21 already. And is there a moment where you think like, oh, I need to do something sooner or later, otherwise this will go nowhere?
No, these stronger players, they are patient. That's a very important skill, and they rely on their endgame skills. And well, so far, and we will see also in the next couple of moves, that kind of strategy works out perfectly. But well, we will see what happens. I'm not going to reveal anything. So black played knight b6. White brings the knight to e3, and now the move knight c4. So
nice.
Well, what happened in the game is knight takes c4, b takes c4, and I doubt this was a good idea for white, because after moving the bishop away, this pawn on b2 is just going to be fixed forever. It cannot move thanks to the pawn on c4. What white may have considered here is once again a pawn move, which could have changed the course of the game, as the move d5 is a very interesting idea. Trying to obstruct the bishop on b7, and it has a nice tactical pointer, because if you take on e3, there is d takes e6 in between move.
Oh my goodness!
It's a very nice idea, because
is super cute.
If you do take with a knight the queen, then also white is going to capture. Attacking the rook, black has to take the pawn, and then we take back with a bishop, or even with one of the rooks. But here you see the structure is quite ugly.
Bit broken, yeah.
Bit broken. Maybe knight d4, bishop g4. These kind of ideas are there, trying to set up a nice skewer. So anyway, let's see what happened in the game. Also, a lot of low-rated players, they often think that when you initiate the sequence of exchanges, you're getting closer to a draw, but that's actually often not true.
Also an interesting point. Yeah, sure.
Let's see what happens. So bishop back to c2, rook b8. Nice classy move, getting ready to target the pawn on b2. Rook b1, bishop to d5. So the bishop is nicely anchored on the d5 square. And the idea is also to bring the queen to c6 to exert more pressure on this diagonal. White goes bishop e4, so more and more pieces are getting swapped, and white is continuing with that approach. Queen e2, rook c8, queen e4. Right, so everything is coming off the board. But how to evaluate such a position? I think white thought that the pawn on b2, it's a weakness, but he can still sufficiently defend it. So he goes back with the rook to e2.
Yeah, rook goes back.
And now rook a8.
Okay. Rook a8 will to go to rook a2 at one point, yeah?
Exactly. The rook is about to attack the rook, attack the pawn from the side. Here, very interesting moment, actually, because in the game, white decided to wait passively, just try to protect the pawn on b2, which is definitely an option. But here also the move b4, to shift the weakness from b2, advancing the pawn, it's protected past pawn, and now if black doesn't capture en passant, let's say you attack the pawn, in a way it's easier to defend the pawn on c3 than the pawn on b2. Or better said, it's harder for black to attack the pawn. Of
Yeah, and
course,
this is something which can get on the nerves for the opponent, of course, because now it's even more tighter, and now you have to be even more patient.
exactly.
I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
the critical line is that if c takes b3, capturing en passant, you're going to wrap up this pawn on b3 by bringing the rook over,
because the knight.
and then the knight will help as well. And then you probably can exchange more pieces, and indeed, white is getting what he wants. So anyway, it was an interesting idea. It didn't happen. White played bishop g3 instead, waiting move. But you see also the bishop is not able to do that much.
No.
Black went h5, trying to grab space. Typical endgame strategy, just slightly and slowly improving the position a bit, step by step, no rush. And white played weird. White went back with the bishop to h2. Probably fearing the move h4, but definitely, yeah, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, and it also, I mean, you have this little space for your king. In the worst case, there is an open line for the black rook, so you're not giving space for the king. No Luft anymore.
Exactly. Let's see what happens. Rook a2, and white goes g4. So this still fits in the plan of trying to initiate more exchanges. And black is not going to cooperate. I mean, he's not going to take himself, at least. He tries to bring the king to the center so that you're overprotecting the pawn on d6, and after that, the bishop on e7 will be free to move. But here, you see the difference between a grandmaster and amateur player. White is impatient and takes on h5. And I think from a positional point of view, that's very ugly, as you're just splitting your pawns on the king side.
Oh, wow.
And basically, with these kind of pawns, you create additional weaknesses which require further support. King g2, black goes back with the rook, bishop g3, king e8. Still, white is suffering a bit, but maybe there are still ways to try to fight here.
Okay.
So rook c2, and now we see that the g pawn is missing. And black brings up the f pawn. Very nice plan, trying to attack the bishop.
Yeah, the bishop went back from g3 to h2 like a couple of times already.
Exactly, but okay, it's part of the strategy, just to sit and wait, let the stronger player prove that he's able to break through. Knight e2 and f4. Bishop has to go back to h2 again, and now the rook comes over to h5.
Oh.
Very interesting idea, because you're attacking the pawn. And in the game, white decided to capture the pawn on c4, which is probably the best move. If you do protect the pawn on h3 first, then there's a very nice way to increase the pressure on the king side by dropping back with the rook to the king side. So white could still take the pawn, but then it's a rook check, and white will be forced to give up the protection of the pawn on h3.
Difficult to see, yeah.
It's difficult to see, but a stronger player realizes that this is all made possible because of that inaccurate pawn play by white on king side. Knight takes c4 played, and here black decided to take with the rook on h3. Very interesting move, although objectively f3 would have even been nicer, because this pawn on h3 is not running away. And this pawn ensures that the king will be kind of stuck. I think this was a missed opportunity for.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Rook takes h3 played. Now the king can come back to protect the bishop and attack the rook. Rook goes to h5, and now bishop to g1.
Oh my god, this poor bishop.
It's not the brightest piece on the board. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now, I think what black should try to do is play for an attack. And it would be very nice if the pawn could be on g4, because then these pawns, they could work together. Therefore, knight h4, king f1, for instance, and then g5.
Knight h4 looks very good, yeah.
It's really unpleasant. You're under pressure, and also the white rooks, they're unable to help out on the king side.
They're stuck.
Didn't happen. Rook g5, king f1, knight h4. And now, it's still quite nice for black, but The rook is obstructing the march of the g pawn. Knight d2, rook b5 played, king e2, and now g5 played anyway. But now the king is, of course, a bit safer compared to situations if it would have been boxed in by the move f3. White could still have played f3 here, trying to get the bishop back into the game. I think
that's what I thought of too, yeah.
Quite a sensible way of playing, but instead bishop h2 played. I thought this was a strange move.
Oh my god.
Rook a8 back. b4.
Going to h8 now?
Yeah, so probably the idea is to get the rook over, but now all of a sudden white also does get the opportunity to mobilize its own majority. Black goes d5, keeping an eye on this pawn and preventing white from executing this c4 pawn break, but allowing knight b3.
Yeah.
You have your doubts, Arne, or?
No, I'm just looking at c4 break. Is it not? No, it's not possible. You're right.
The bishop is also
exactly
covering the square.
Yeah, I thought like after the dust has settled, the knight can go to b6 with a check, but of course it cannot even get there in time.
Right, exactly. So let's see, knight b3, knight f5. White played knight c5. Looks like a very nice square, but look, bishop takes c5, d takes c5. The board has been split in two parts. White has 3 pawns on the queen side, and black has 4 versus 1 on the other wing. And well, this pawn formation looks quite impressive for black, especially because white's pawns are blocked. They are unable to move forward. But black played here the move e5, which is probably not very precise because it does allow rook g1, attacking the pawn. If you protect it, it's the only way to save the pawn. Now white all of a sudden is able to start to attack black from 2 sides. You're attacking the pawn, but at the same time, the other rook can start giving checks. Was not played in the game. You know, it's a rapid game. They both missed quite a number of ideas.
Gotcha.
And instead, white played the move f3. Trying to stop the pawn. It's making sense as well. But black brings up the king. Excellent move. Bishop to g1. Back again. Rook b7. So this is the reason why you place the king on c6, trying to cover the b5 square, preventing white from coming forward. But white plays the move c4, threatening to give b5 a check, as the bishop supports the pawn on c5.
d4 question mark? No, it takes.
d4. d4 is a very interesting move, actually. I think the reason why black didn't play it is because it does allow king d3. And if you do give another check, which is the most tempting move, then all of a sudden the king comes in and your pawn chain can be destroyed.
Okay.
However,
good to know, yeah.
Objectively, knight g3 would have been a very nice move, preventing the king from getting in, and then the rook will come very soon anyway. But black decided to take on c4, which is also perfectly fine. Rook takes pawn, and now rook a2 check. Big moment. Very unpleasant. What do you think? Where would you go with your king?
Yeah, this is the great question. So, yeah. I mean, going back is like almost, it feels like it's a death sentence. It's if the king goes back, the other rook will come, and it looks very crushing. So, but it also looks dangerous going in front. But I think in a blitz game, or if I have little time left, I would just go to d3.
Excellent. Very good technique, Arne. I love to see that.
Oh, thanks.
King d3 is the best way of playing. And your idea is just try to generate counterplay and get out of any sort of mating attacks. In the game, they follow the move king e1.
Oh, dear.
So you're voluntarily cutting off your own king.
Yeah.
But the big question is, how does the other rook get involved?
Yes.
And this is the big moment of the game, because here we, instead of the right move, we get to see the decisive blunder.
Okay, so yes. So it is, okay. It is actually, but only because you're mentioning it, it is difficult to see. I guess rook to h7 might be an error, right?
It's the winning move.
No, what?
It's what the Grandmaster should have played. Yeah. So this is a great idea, because look, how to deal with the threat of rook h1. You can give one check with a pawn, but the king goes away, attacking the rook. The rook will
Oh,
have to
now I
move.
see it. It's over. Oh,
It's just
goodness.
game over. And you can give one more check, the king goes away. You
Ah,
you protect with your king the bishop, but that allows knight e3. The bishop is pinned, cannot be taken, and therefore it's just checkmate.
I'm not as good as a grandmaster. I just realized that.
Or he's not as good as you. You can also turn it around. Yeah,
Good. Yeah, I like that
yeah,
more.
yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, that
so
was
yeah.
incredible. But look what happens in this game. We have seen a typical approach by Grandmaster, just step by step trying to improve its position, trying to retain control as long as possible.
Yeah.
He didn't play rook h7 because he didn't like the idea of allowing the pawn to come forward.
That's what I thought. Exactly, that's what I thought. I thought like this will fall apart then. Yeah.
And instead of playing rook h7, he first played the move king b5. Double question mark. What is the key move here for white? Which was played in the game, in fact.
I see. Is it just c6?
Excellent. You ignore the threat,
Yeah.
and you're pushing your own pawn. If you take the rook, c takes b7,
Oh,
and the b pawn is decisive, can no
it,
longer be stopped.
exactly. And even it's not even that difficult to spot. Oh no.
I imagine they were low on time,
Yeah.
and of course these things happen in severe time
Of
pressure.
course, yeah.
But anyway, it's also you should understand that when you move your king away from the blockading square, the pawn is able to move immediately. So instead, they followed the move rook b8, but now the rook can go away with gain of time, with a check.
Oh no. Oh, this is good. This is so difficult. I mean, if we're talking about time trouble, maybe only the Grandmaster had time trouble. That can happen. It was
Exactly. Yeah.
complicated. So this is also not easy to spot, obviously, because like I think I would have, yeah, maybe I would have played c7. I mean, okay, you can then play the rook to c5, but still.
That's also fine.
Okay.
Both moves
Okay.
were playable.
Okay.
But the rook check is always fine. Look,
Yeah,
if you play king b6, you place your king in the line of
terrible. Yeah.
the bishop. It's a rook a5 with a discovered check, and you take the rook next on a2.
hmm
That's not possible. If you go with the king to a4, then it's white being able to give the checkmate with the two rooks at the same time.
Oh, this is so brutal.
It's always funny. Yeah, you see this kind of examples where one side is trying to play for a mating attack, but it doesn't happen very often that both sides are trying to
Yeah.
give mate with both rooks.
Yeah, I mean, I even see that king a6 is. Oh no, it's not a checkmate. Pardon, sorry. Oh god. what am I
King
thinking?
a6 was actually played in the game with the big
Yeah.
difference that the rook still covers the square. But now we give another check on to b5.
Yeah.
If the king goes either to a7 or b6, there will be a discovered check with rook c2 picking up the rook on 8.
Exactly.
King a5 played. And well, there are various moves
Oh,
possible.
goodness.
But now the pawns are breaking through.
Yeah, and
It's-
every move is so easy now out of a sudden. Yeah.
The position plays itself, exactly. So it's another discovered check. King a6, c7, hitting the rook. Rook goes away. I mean, you could have gone here, but there is at least just b7 and
Yeah.
2 pawns on the 7th rank being supported by 2 rooks. That's simply too much.
But now I wonder, after you mentioned rook h8, right?
Yeah.
So is it? I mean, it's okay.
The counterplay comes too late because you're promoting with check, and after rook takes, it's rook takes, and you're full rook up. And well, there followed actually one more move, one final idea, trying to get in a knight somehow, but there is this move, rook a8, and black had seen enough. White, being more than 1,000 points lower rated, managed to defeat the Grandmaster. Very, very impressive game, right?
I wonder how both of them feel. Overwhelmed by emotions, probably.
Yeah.
Both of them, just some
Exactly.
different ones. Oh my gosh! Wow. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Underdog episode. Definitely the world record at the moment of our episodes with the highest difference of rating. A very entertaining game, after all. You can replay it in the Chess-Based News article. The link is below the video, as always. Well, yeah, Robert, didn't fail to impress me again with all those.
Glad to hear that.
elements. Yeah. So I am looking forward to next month already for the next Underdog episode. Thanks for watching, and thank you, Robert.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.